Hi everyone, Stepan here. Okay, my opponent's playing the bird. Let's go d5. The last game left me very angry. I had a +4 position for about 20 moves. And then I blundered in time trouble and lost. And then I just put my queen where the rook could take it in the end. Okay, my opponent's gonna play the stone wall. I'm gonna try to play what I play with white, which is c5, b6, bishop a6, if my opponent isn't careful, but I have to castle first. I'm a tempo down on that line. So now if castles c5, c3, I go b6. And if my opponent doesn't play queen e2, I go bishop a6. Trading off. Okay, now this is a great position. So bishop a6, if knight c6, Okay, so this is the one key tempo. Bishop a6, knight c6, knight c6, bishop a6. Do I want to do that? My opponent didn't prevent bishop a6, but there is knight c6. And if on knight c6 I go queen c7, then knight b8. Oh, then I have bishop takes d3. Okay, that works. That works. And on bishop a6, knight a6, knight c6, there is queen c7. Okay. This should work. This is the main strategic exchange either side plays against the stone wall. Because this is white's attacking bishop, white's good bishop. Okay. I'll just exchange. And now white has fewer pieces left on the board that can actually do something because the bishop on c1 is severely restricted. So let's go knight d7 defending my c-pawn or queen c7. I want to go knight d7. That seems a bit more promising. Wow, my opponent isn't wasting any time. Should I be worried about this? Is g5 scary? I don't know. My opponent probably wants to go knight f3 and then both knights can come into e5. I don't really care about that. I'll just keep developing. My opponent still has this bad bishop. And f5 doesn't really worry me. Okay, my opponent keeps playing very quickly. Maybe now I do go e6 because on f5, well, maybe I don't need e6. My opponent's playing extremely quickly. So I'm assuming they're gonna go queen f3 at some point. Maybe knight df3. I don't really want to take on e5. I honestly don't see a point to e6. So let's play a useful move. What's a useful move? Where do I want my rooks? Am I planning to take on d4? Not really. Okay, let's go e6. I want to see what my opponent does, and I want to play against f5 if I can. For now, f5 allows knight takes e5. But if... okay, queen f3. Okay, so if I take on e5, then f takes e5, of course. Lichess will restart in 9 minutes. That's slightly worrying. I never know what's going to happen if Lichess restarts. Okay, so my opponent's reinforcing f5. I feel like chasing this knight away is a good idea. I'm going to go knight e8. Because if they take f5, I'll be able to go knight d6 at some point. And also d4 will be slightly loose. Yeah. So let's see. f5, e5. Lichess will restart in 8 minutes. What's gonna happen? I'm always anxious when I see that message. Why is my opponent playing instantly? I'm always very irritated when people play instantly. It puts me off. If my opponent doesn't play f5, I could play f5. Because then knight d6, knight e4 seems very pleasant. It's going to be hard for my opponent to play e4 because d4 is hanging. And they are still left with the bad bishop. The queen and rook cannot do enough damage alone because I have rook, queen, bishop and knight defending. So they definitely don't have enough firepower to launch a successful attack. I have to forget about the last game. I'm still thinking about it. I keep analyzing the positions from that game in my head while I'm looking at this. I need to stop doing that. That's something I do during tournaments as well. You're haunted by your mistakes, and then you cannot focus on what's really important, the game you're playing now. Okay, so I was planning to go e5. So if I do go e5, my opponent has g5. e5, g5, threatening f6. Well, then I can take on f5 and win the d pawn, I guess. e5, g5. G5 seems to be the only reasonable response to e5. e5. My rook on a8 is hanging, so I have to be slightly concerned about that as well. e5, g5, queen f5, queen d5, queen g5 check. That doesn't seem to work. So e5, g5, queen f5, queen f5, gf5, rook f5. Let's say cd4. I like that. I think that's fine. Oh, my opponent has knight c4. Is that scary? Knight c4? I don't think so. Of course, on fg I have to take with the h-pawn because my rook's hanging. I didn't even mention that. Perhaps my opponent should go e4 now to liberate the bishop, but that does hang the d-pawn. And if they play DE or DC first, then on E4 I have D4. Yeah, I'm not sure knight c4 does anything. In fact, even if I give up the exchange and on rook a8 take everything on d4, that seems pleasant enough. Leeches will restart in 4 minutes. Let's hope the world doesn't explode and that I can continue the game. I have to say I like my position. I don't think my opponent has a real chance to beat me unless g5 f6 is played successfully. And I don't see it, because if h3 now... Okay, bishop takes. Oh, sorry, pawn takes. Now knight c4 is a bit more annoying. So bishop e5, knight c4, bishop c7 or bishop g7, followed by d4 seems reasonable. Again, I could also just take that knight and give up the exchange. But yeah, okay, for now I'm just gonna take. Okay, bishop back. I'm not gonna give up the exchange. Okay. Okay, so let's go rook d8. Now the knight is almost hanging, almost. Yeah, now I have d4. Don't I have d4? Don't I have d? D, rook, d7. Yeah, okay, my rook's hanging. I don't have d. Okay. If d4, there is e5, so that's annoying. However, if I play queen e7, how does my opponent save everything? Queen e7, attacking the knight, attacking the e pawn, and if rook d5, then rook d5, then e d5, and then queen e1 really doesn't do anything? Come on. Okay, what if I go... What if I go b5, then rook d5? So, okay, let's look at d4 again. d4, e5, b5. d4, e5, b5, f6. That's very annoying. Can I go bishop d4? No, no. Well, I have to connect my rooks, so I may as well play knight c7. And no, knight c7 is bad because my opponent takes. The problem with queen c6 is that my opponent plays e5, and I don't have dc because my rook's hanging and my queen is hanging. Okay, let's look at b5 again. b5, e5. No, b5, rook d5, stupid. b5, rook d5. Okay, d4, e5, b5, f6. bc. fg, knight g. Okay, I'm gonna play d4 because I don't see anything better. I'm expecting e5. Well, I'm very happy to see this because now I can play f6, preventing e5. f6, the bishop moves to f4. I go g5. Maybe I don't have to go g5, but I can go b5. So let's play f6 now. I'm very happy that my opponent didn't play e5 straight away. Okay. So b5, knight e3, at least e5 is prevented there, so let's go b5. On knight e3, okay, that doesn't concern me as much as knight e3 would have. So can I go d3? d3, there may be bishop e3 at some point. I'm still playing it because I want to save this pawn. I know that there's bishop e3, and on c4 there is both bishop d4 and bishop c5, but I am restricting the knight. I will have a protected passed pawn, and on c4 now there is b4, and on knight b1 there is queen d4 check. So even if I did was wrong, even if what I did was wrong, I have a protected passed pawn. That should mean something. Why am I 5 minutes down on the clock? 6 minutes. How is everybody so much faster than me? What's wrong with me? I have rook f7 to deal with that. Okay. I'm happy to see this. Relatively happy. How do I improve? I'll go rook f7, so that when I move my queen, I have rook d7. If my opponent goes bishop e3, I'm going to have to give away the d4 square. And that's unfortunate, but I don't think I have a choice. And I also have the option to go bishop f8 now. So yeah, let's go bishop f8. Ooh, does that allow e5? Yes, it does. Let's go rook e7. Let's go rook e7, so that on rook d1 we can play c4, and then on knight d4 we have queen b7 attacking the e pawn. Also on rook a d1 I may have dc2, rook d7. Wait a minute, dc2, rook d7, cd1 check. Rook d1 has to be played. How does that look? And then rook d1, queen e or rook e4. Oh, I have to calculate. So dc2, rook d7. cd1. Wait a minute, even dc2, rook d7, rook e d7. And then rook d7, threatening rook d1, queening. Oh, does that work? Come on, faster, faster. dc2, rook d7, rook e d7, rook d7, rook d7. How does my opponent stop rook d1? dc2, rook d7. Rook d7. dc2, rook d7, rook e d7, rook d7, rook d7. There's a pawn on c2. I'm threatening rook d1, winning the bishop. I like that. I'm gonna try. Ah! I'm not sure. Okay, I'll go c4. I couldn't make it work. Maybe I could have made it work, but I got too scared. Maybe it did work. Now my opponent wants to go knight e6, so I better prevent that. And then next I want to go rook d8, and pile up on the e-pawn. Maybe I could have converted straight away, but I wasn't sure. Okay, this I have to take. This I have to take. And I think I have a great position now. I didn't expect my opponent to give up that exchange. To take that exchange. I think I'm much better now. The rooks are very much restricted by these pawns. I mean, this seems great for me. This seems excellent. I mean, my opponent has the extra exchange, but the rooks are completely restricted on the d file. Yeah, I mean, if I had to guess, I would say this is equal according to the engine, but I would take black. I don't even know what my opponent should do. It's going to be very hard to undermine those pawns, because on b3 I have a pawn on c4. I have a complete pawn, on b5. So the pawn on c4 can always be defended. And when my bishop gets to h6, oof, there's going to be trouble. I don't think my bishop is worse than a rook at all. My pawn is going to reach d2. And I'm almost certain my opponent's going to have to give that exchange back. I don't think my opponent should have taken. I don't think my opponent should have given up the amazing knight on e6 or on d4. I mean, if it stayed on e6, I would have taken it, sacked the exchange myself. But this just seems very pleasant for black. I'm down the exchange, but my pieces are perfect. My opponent has weaknesses. My opponent has a less safe king. I have a passed pawn on d3. A protected passed pawn, mind you. And my bishop can come out to e3, to f4. If my opponent tries to keep the pawn somehow, I don't see how that could be done. I have queen b6 check and queen takes e6. But I wanted to take with the rook to activate my rook. Yeah, I changed my mind to slightly better for black. I think this is significantly better for black. I don't see a plan for white. Of course, b3 can be played and then bc, bc. And the rooks are going to be active down the b file. But while that's happening, my d pawn could queen. This may be the first time my opponent's taking a long time to think. I'm struggling to find a plan for white. Definitely play b3. I mean, he should have played b3 already, because that's going to be played at some point. But other than that, I may also have queen a5 if b3 is played prematurely. On g5 I have queen c5 check, picking up the pawn. I don't know. I mean, maybe black is even winning. I keep changing my mind in favor of black more and more. I have 3 minutes, my opponent has almost 7. Okay, so my opponent's preventing queen b6 check and all of that. Probably wants to go g5. Let's grab the e-pawn. I want to set up a blockade with queen e5, maybe rook e7 to defend this pawn. I want to go bishop h6. e5 doesn't work because of queen e5, and on queen a8 there is rook e8, and on queen a7 there is queen e4, which seems devastating. If g5, I still go queen e5 and then gf6, rook f6. Yeah, okay, let's go queen e5, gf6, rook f6. Maybe gf6, bishop f6, but I kind of like rook f6. Because the only source of counterplay for my opponent is the f7 square. And I have to play quickly. 3 minutes. We know what happened last game. I also have bishop f8, bishop c5. I mean, my opponent's going to have to take on f6 because I just take the pawn. Either one. I don't think a queen trade is bad for me. I think it's actually fine. So what happens if I take on g5? Well, I don't know, but I'm very tempted to take. f7 is not a problem square yet. And I will have rook f6. Yeah, I'm taking. I don't see why I wouldn't take. f7 is defended. I can always go h6 to give my king the h7 square. If the queen moves, I take on e4 with check. Okay. So my opponent wants to go rook f2, queen f7, but that doesn't really work. I mean, I can also probably go h5 instead of h6. Should I go h5? Maybe. I don't know if I should play h5 or h6. They both seem very tempting. h5. I'm playing h5. I want to liberate my bishop. Why wouldn't I play h5? Now my king has h7, my rook has f6. If... I don't know, I also have g4, dislodging the queen. Yeah, this seems... I'm gonna say black is winning. I can mess it up, but I think black's winning. Because now I have g4 followed by bishop h6. And I may also throw in rook f6. For good measure, queen g2 only move. Queen g2 only move. And then I go bishop h6 d2. This is game over. Not even I can mess this up. Well, I say that I can mess this up. I can mess this up, but I won't. You have to play queen g2. Because on queen e3 there is king h7, bishop h6. And on queen a7 there is queen e4. Play quickly and don't blunder. Don't play bishop h6 because queen a7 is check. However, then there is rook e7 attacking the queen and attacking the rook on d2. The queen has to go to f2 to defend the rook, then you take the rook. But play rook e7 first, so that there is no counterplay. Come on, don't mess it up. Let's go. Maybe rook f2 is a good move. I like rook f2. And I definitely have to play rook e7 at some point to prevent queen a7. Okay. So now my plan is rook e7 followed by bishop h6. There may be queen d4 on bishop h6. Yeah, I think I should just take. I don't need bishop h6. This seems easy enough. Because I have bishop h6 if the rook blockades on d2. And if the rook doesn't blockade on d2, I have rook e2. Yeah, this is simple enough. I didn't need bishop h6. No reason to allow counterplay. 3 pawns for the exchange, and the passed pawn protected on d3. The only scary square is f7, but it doesn't really matter because I can play rook e2. My opponent has to play rook f2 now. I think they have to play it. And all I have to do is king h6. Oh, I didn't see this. Sorry for not talking, I just cannot. I was counting on bishop takes b2, but my bishop is pinned. I missed that my bishop is pinned. And just like that, it seems like I managed to mess it up. I don't know why my opponent didn't take on b4. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry it ended like this. If you're like me and you think practicing against the engine is boring because it either crushes you or plays like an idiot, try playing against Noctie. Noctie is a human-like AI that's going to adapt to your strength, is going to play like a human, try to trick you like a human, and challenge you on your own level. The first thing you can do is, of course, assess your rating, and you can play a rating test against Noctie. Yeah, the only move is g4 and then queen f4 mate? Yeah. Good. Yes! 2557! Come on! It's going to tell you your strength, but there are many more features. The first thing is, when you play Noctie, you get instant feedback, and all of your moves will get sort of color-coded. Noctie will immediately tell you if you made a mistake. That way you can ask Noctie to see where you went wrong. You can play games in openings you're trying to learn. So you can import any repertoire you want and play Noctie in that specific opening. Just go to repertoires. I've imported the Hillbilly when I was doing the video on the Hillbilly, but you can obviously create any repertoire. Just paste the PGN, and if you, for example, play the London system, you can play the London system against Noctie. Flashcards are an excellent tool, and I've spoken to Samuel, the owner and inventor of Noctie. He's going to make them even better. Flashcards are basically the mistakes you made in your games. Noctie is going to make you pay attention to them, and in the future they're going to be grouped according to theme, so it's going to be even easier to navigate your mistakes. One of my favorite features, if not my favorite one, and the one I use the most, is themes. So you can play Noctie in any specific position you choose. So if you go to your themes, you can see that I've made quite a few. So let's say you want to play out this position. This is a position from Spassky's game where he triangulated perfectly. If you're trying to practice something, you can create a new team. Just add an FEN or a PGN and play it out against Noctie. That way, if you have an endgame you would like to practice, you don't have to find an actual human to play against, nor will you have to play against a 2800 engine or against a 500 engine human. If you would like to check Noctie out, you can follow the link in the description, and if you would like to get a 64% discount, use the code HANGING Pawns. Thank you very much for this. Thank you, Noctie, for sponsoring the video, and let's get back. I think this should be a draw. How did I mess it up? I think this is a draw. So let's say my opponent doesn't blunder. Let's say king, I cannot do it here. So let's say king d2, which seems reasonable. What do I do against this pawn? Maybe my opponent can even win this. Let's say I think I would have gone h4. And then what does white do? On rook b2, I can take. On king here, this may be an overwhelming advantage. Oh no, it's not, because once the... Okay, maybe it is. I don't know. Let's start from the beginning. So on b6, you have to play queen e2. Yeah, you have to prevent bishop a6. Knight e5, bishop a6. Let's see. Okay, black is slightly better. Takes, 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 takes. Queen c7. e6, knight e8 is correct, knight e7. I should have taken on f5. So takes, takes, and knight f6. Okay, makes sense. Let's see. Takes, takes. Oh yeah, because I have e4. Okay. I played e5, takes, bishop takes, knight c4. Yeah, I should have put the bishop on c7, but I felt like I needed more defense. Queen a4. What happens when rook takes d5 or queen takes d5? I don't understand. Queen a4, rook takes d5. Ah, queen d... Wait, queen d5? And defending the rook. Wait, what about queen d3? Yeah, on queen d3 I have rook d8, I guess. No. Okay, this is too much for me. Rook d8 blunder. White is better. f6. b5. Knight a3 was weird. Rook f7 best move, nice. I didn't want to commit to g5. Okay, let's just check this one out. Takes, 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 and now rook d1. So here, rook d1 check. Here, queen. And it's rook, knight, and bishop, but my rook is trapped. Oof, yeah, okay. Luckily for me, I didn't do that. Yeah, instead, I went c4. Yeah, okay, I could have taken the knight immediately. No, I mean, I could have, instead of here, moved my queen immediately, let's say, or my rook, let's say queen here, and then I don't lose the exchange. But why would I save my rooks? Look at this pawn. Knight d4, here, 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 takes, takes. Rook takes, takes. Okay, I could have taken straight away, but I played queen e5 first. Now I took here. h5 is correct. Yeah, this is, my assessment was correct. And I could have taken on e4 straight away, but I delayed it, and then I took. Okay, takes, takes. Now let's see if I'd messed it up. Still winning, still winning, still winning, although slightly less so. Still winning. Ah, a4 is so nice. a4 is very instructive, because you want to go a3 and get two connected passed pawns. What if rook c7? a3, wow. Wow, this is really nice. I played ab4, which is a draw. Yeah, now apparently everything's winning. So on king d2, I guess I just make another queen on the other side of the board. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for watching. I won. That's good. But I could have converted more cleanly. Thanks a lot. Stay tuned for more chess. Bye-bye.